What is the first impression you get when you watch a horror film?
Well, it could depend on several things, really, like the lighting, the camera effects, the situation in general. And all depending on them, either I'll get the impression that it's going to be a cheesy horror, it's not going to be worth watching, or if it's decent, I'll want to watch it because it's, you know, it's got me tense in the mood.
It's kind of like the edge of your seat, like wondering what's going to happen. You can also tell by the opening if it's going to be a good horror film, because you don't like the cheesy, happy, over-the-top ones. You like the serious, intense ones. So.
What would you expect to see in a traditional horror film opening?
Usually I'd expect to see a dark lighting, you know, not much to it really. I prefer a slow-paced, you know, kind of like brain-teasing type of opening horror film. So it's kind of mysterious and gets you into it a bit more.
The dark colour lighting and the camera just zooming across very slowly and slyly, so you don't know what's around the corner.
Would you expect the antagonist to be fully identified in the opening of a horror film?
No, I wouldn't know. I think it's better to let the audience think about it and a bit of mystery again.
No, I wouldn't, because it's nice for the victim to try and guess which one it is, like who it is, who did it. So.
What features do you expect the antagonist to have in a horror film?
Usually a weapon, maybe. And definitely a sinister look, like maybe scars on the face or scar tissue somewhere else. Definitely something to identify and make them stand out from the rest of the characters.
Mainly like some kind of knife or axe or something, so it's quite brutal, but they should be quite muscular and like creepy. So.
How many characters would you usually expect there to be in the opening of a horror film?
Not a large amount. I'd say maybe 5. Give the audience a chance to start relating to those characters, get to know them a bit better before they start getting confused by everything else in the film.
Not a lot, quite a handful of people, because you want to get a personal feel for them and feel like you're living it with them. So.
What reaction would you expect from the typical victim in the opening of a horror film?
Again, it'd depend on the film, really. Like if it was a dead cheesy one, like a really over the top, but a serious one, a slow again, you know, kind of plays with the audience's mind again.
You kind of get the victim to have where they think that they're not scared, but seriously they're really nervous and trying to run away, so they're quite serious about it.
What techniques are used to entice you at the start of a horror film?
It would have to be the lighting effects, if it's dark. You know, if it's dark and characters are on screen, like side lighting, so when half the face is lit mystery, and again the non-diegetic sound adds to that effect as well. Yeah.
The jumpiness, like slowly going with the camera so you don't know what's around the corner, then suddenly someone just randomly appearing and jumping out on you.
Would you prefer a horror film to have a very slow, intense opening or a fast, action-packed one?
I definitely prefer the slow-paced one.
Why?
It just gets you more into it, you know. Like fast-paced ones are good. I'm not going to deny, but the slow-paced ones more play on your mind. Like I say, there's more mystery to them, and they make you want to find out what happens at the end, what the story is, who did what.
A slow, intense one.
Why?
Because if it's fast and action-packed, it doesn't really feel like a horror. You should like take it slowly so it scares you even more, so you don't know what to expect.
What locations would you expect to see at the start of a horror film?
Stereotypically, I'd say like a graveyard or a church or something like that, but I guess anywhere really. Like I'd usually expect an open field, not much to it really.
Like a dark place, like the woods or forest, enclosed and dark, quite claustrophobic. So.
Does different lighting techniques affect the way in which you feel whilst watching a horror film?
Definitely, yeah. Like I said earlier, the side lighting definitely adds to the mystery of that. And when there's darkness, you know, it kind of makes the audience think, oh, well, is there something in that corner, or is there something in that corner? Well, if it's bright, we can see everything, and it won't really come as much of a surprise.
Yeah.
Why?
Because if you sat in the light, it doesn't feel like a horror. It feels like you're just watching something on the TV. Whereas if you're in a dark and closed place, it feels like you're part of that, and you're getting the intensity of the film.
What colours would you associate with a horror film?
Usually black, red, grey and dark colours like that.
Dull colours like red, black, things that represent like death or scaredness.
Does the way in which a horror film's opening being edited together affect the way in which you feel about it?
Yeah, I think it does, yeah. Like, again, with the whole slow-paced thing, it's more mysterious, fast-paced, adds to the action, it's more tense, you're on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, because like I said before, you prefer it to be slow and tense, so you could get into it, so it's more intense.
What props would you expect to see in a horror film?
The casual, like, you know, the usual knife, glass bottles, things like that, guns maybe, blood.
You normally expect to see like the weapons of choice and quite things covered in blood to give the fact that it is a horror film.
What do you like most about horror film openings?
The mystery. Like, I've mentioned mystery a lot, I'm sorry about that, but I definitely think it's a key point in horror films, to keep the audience enticed within the sequence, and so they understand what's happening, but not to the extent where they know everything and how it's going to end.
The fact that you're at the edge of the seat, wondering what's going to happen next, so it gets you into the mood and know that you're going to be scared for your life for the rest of the film.